you talk about very risque photos floating around. It's going to be hard. There's something that's allegedly. You talk about these risque photos floating around. You floated one right in front of the nose of Bill Clinton. This is the most viral clip, I think. And we track these things pretty closely. But your line of questioning was clearly the most viral with Bill Clinton. You were again with Hillary. I think she lost her mind. But here you have Bill Clinton straight up gooning. I just can't believe it. I mean, he was having a time of his life. It seems like he was reminiscing. I don't mean to make light of this.
Yeah.
But his lawyer, I mean, it's remarkable. His lawyer had to snatch the photos back as Bill Clinton chuckles and dreams on as he looks at the hot tub photos of himself.
I think he's drooling there. He looks like he's drooling.
What's going on here, Congresswoman?
In the hot tub.
Please.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like when he was talking about the women in the hot tub, he was just basically like, oh, I didn't know who any of these people were. You're literally the former president of the free world, of the United States of America. And you're telling me your Secret Service is just going to let you get in the hot tub with anybody. That person's never been vetted. And by the way, I don't believe it was the hotel's public pool. I didn't realize this till after. But the pool that he was talking about was part of the private suite I believe he was staying in. So it's just so much overwhelming. And then to deny that he was potentially a target of a honeypot operation or intel operation with a guy who was likely with Mossad, CIA, KGB, MI6, all the things. It's just not believable. And we did get Hillary and Bill, and I believe I got both of them testifying falsely. And they both pointed the finger, like one blamed the other over Ghislaine Maxwell visiting their home. She blamed Bill and Bill blamed her. And that was false testimony, I believe. But, nothing's going to happen from it. Nothing. So, I think it's important that we get all the information, the truth out there. The American people can judge for themselves. And you can see how fake this whole thing is. But the funniest part of that, and it's not obviously funny, but it was hysterical to watch his attorney snatch the images out of his hands because he's literally drooling right over those images. And then Hillary's screaming at me, becoming unhinged, totally unglued. I never had that on my bingo card, but it was one of the most gratifying experiences of my life. I checked that box on the bucket list. And to see her, I thought she was going to come across the table. I mean, honestly, she was totally unhinged.
We have the footage playing right here, Congresswoman. Please, we just hope you don't wind up in federal lockup one of these days with the red light on the camera going off in your cell because you saw the rage. I mean, you saw it. You were able to elicit it out of Hillary Clinton by asking this series of questions, which seems extremely logical. And if you don't mind, I'll just set you up here. Inside of Jeffrey Epstein's emails, there is a clear and obvious pattern in dozens of emails that he knew Hillary Clinton personally, that he had physical contact with Hillary Clinton. I don't mean in a sexual way, but that he knows what she looks like up close and personal. He's able to book dinners with her. He's able to go to fundraisers with her. And so for Hillary Clinton, and this is what you were asking, how can you claim to not know Jeffrey Epstein when he claims to know you?
Right. And she also, I believe, falsely testified. This is where I caught her. She testified earlier in the day that she didn't seek out funds from Jeffrey Epstein. Well, then I pulled out the emails, and this is where she came unglued. I pulled out the emails where it showed an individual, Howard Lutnick, by the way, who was seeking funds on Hillary's behalf from Jeffrey Epstein. And that would happen over and over again. And we learned, too, that like Bill Clinton never sent an email. Didn't text, didn't do phone calls. His staff allegedly was on his email, doing the emails and making phone calls and texting and et cetera. But they had these intermediaries so that they could say with impunity, oh, I never reached out to Jeffrey Epstein or anybody, but they had other people doing it for them, it appears, in their testimony, which is why I say I caught her and Bill falsely testifying in that deposition.
You can tell a lot about somebody, if you press them on the right issue. It's human nature, right? If somebody says, hey, Benny, you have like a bunch of bodies buried in your backyard, I'll be like, get a shovel, right? I'll go dig with you. What are you talking about? That's insane. I'm not a serial killer. I'm just not. I know I'm not a serial killer. But if I was, you start to sweat. You start to worry. It's human behavior, right? Like you don't freak out if somebody is clearly making up a lie about you. The Clintons freaked out here. They were clearly unhinged. Now, the Hillary Clinton screaming at you is like an unhinged level of behavior. What does that? I mean, what does it tell you, Congresswoman? That like she reacted in such a violent. I mean, we have it on here. We've never seen Hillary. We've all supposed Hillary was this level of like maniacal, but like you actually proved it, right, with your questioning.
No, and it really, it clearly it touched a nerve. Clearly she was sensitive to it. And clearly I believe she saw that she was caught with her hand in the cookie jar. And, you know, when you get in front of these people, I mean, they spend millions of dollars to prepare for the hearings or testimony or depositions, and they're prepared for the hardest, toughest questions. But when you pull them logically through, like anybody would, just with common sense, you know, I didn't go to law school. I didn't go to a Harvard or Yale. I didn't do any of that. I'm just this girl from Goose Creek, and I'm just using American logic because I read what people say and I pay attention. I take notes on what the American electorate is looking for and interested in. And then you just pull them through logically with common sense, and they're not ready for that. I mean, they weren't built for that. And then they just fall apart. And it was a crushing defeat because we all know what she was like, and she tries to hide behind a cover of professionalism in public. But when you get at it and you show the testimony and the sensitive nature of it, I mean, she was off the rails. Like, yes. I know that I can be intense, but I've never seen anything like that before.
Yes. So, Congresswoman, you say that you caught them in lies. Could you elucidate for us what those are?
Well, the false testimony that I saw in Hillary's case, for example, she denied that she sought out funds from Jeffrey Epstein. Yet there were all these middlemen and women that were seeking out funds for her from Jeffrey Epstein. That was one. She denied knowing anything about Ghislaine Maxwell coming over to the home. But when I asked Bill, he said, well, that would have been for Hillary and her Senate run. That would have been related to her, right? And she pointed to him, hey, just go ask Bill why Ghislaine was there, right? And so to catch them in that false testimony, and I even asked Bill, I was like, did your wife falsely testify or did you falsely testify? And you saw their attorneys just dive in completely and would not let him answer the question because he couldn't speculate on his wife's testimony, right? But they were testifying sort of against each other. So one of them wasn't telling the truth. So which one was it? And in Ghislaine's own testimony from years ago, she admits just popping in, and she was invited to their personal home. I don't get invited to any president's personal home randomly. Nobody does. They don't pop in. You have to be cleared by Secret Service. And in the wedding photo you're showing right now, Ghislaine Maxwell conveniently was a +1 of one of their guests, and it was a small wedding. And you can't mean to tell me the former president of the United States doesn't vet anyone, like on the planes or at events or in pools. Like that's not how it happens. They're trying to keep him alive and keep him safe from any enemies. Sure that they get death threats on a daily basis, and you're just gonna random people show up at your daughter's wedding, and they knew about Epstein and Ghislaine in 2008, and she shows up at the wedding. Like you didn't even talk to your daughter about the #1 best friend of Jeffrey Epstein after he became a convicted pedophile. Like maybe your daughter shouldn't be hanging out with his friends. You didn't even have that conversation with your daughter. Like to me, it was just totally unbelievable. And I'm just using Goose Creek logic, South Carolina, common sense. Like that's all you have to do with these people because they're idiots and they can't tell them.